SAP developers, how are you doing today? Yeah, another exciting day. Um, as before, we're going to talk about a bit of the Steampipe command line utility. And in this case, we're actually going to interact with a different service, part of the BTP platform, right? So in this case, we're going to see how we can use the Steampipe utility to interact with the Kyma runtime environment. So this is not strictly part of the SAP BTP plugin for Steampipe, but it is actually, we're going to leverage an existing plugin. So that's what we're going to check out today. Buenos días, Santiago. Another coffee wouldn't wait. I'm not able to see this because of how my chat is structured. No, this is not good. Wouldn't have around here. Okay, cool. Yes, so enjoying a nice cup of coffee here. My mug is courtesy of SAP Inside Track Barcelona, which I participated a couple of years ago. I did a co-jam there, so yeah, they gave me this cup there. So yeah, thank you very much. So today, I'm actually this live stream is going on YouTube and LinkedIn as well. So I'll try my best to keep up with the chat on both platforms. It might be a bit of a challenge for sure, but yeah, let's see how it goes. I have my YouTube chat here, and about to add my LinkedIn chat as well there. So yeah, I'll try to keep an eye on both. Let's see how that goes. Yeah. Last time I wasn't able to keep up with the chat on LinkedIn, which is a pity, but let's see if I'm able to do it this time. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. Cool. So I was wondering before starting this live stream, how do you guys end up finding out about these events, or a bit, about the events, for example, that the developer advocates team organizes? So, for example, DJ has a hands-on SAP Dev series focusing on CAP, right? And yeah, let me start sharing my screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. Oops, not that. Give me a second. Properties. Oops. There we go. Display capture. That's it. So you should be able to see it now. Yeah. So for example, we have the back to basics with SAP CAP, right? Which DJ, the next instance of that will be this Friday. So yeah, you should be looking forward to that. It's quite popular. It was even announced in the CAP sort of website. So if you go to CAP, yeah, it's even here. Amazing, huh? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So how do you guys find out about this events or live streams? Was it via LinkedIn, via Twitter, via Mastodon? Via some form of a newsletter, or you just subscribe to the YouTube channel? Do let me know, for example, on the chat, how do you end up finding about it? Just trying to learn a bit of how people end up discovering, for example, this type of content. So yeah, it's quite interesting. I just realized that there are 906 videos in the SAP Developers channel. And there's a lot of stuff that we're working on this year. So I would say that will get easily to 1,000 videos this year. Well, the year is just starting, so let's see how it goes. So Nitesh says that LinkedIn is how he found out. Okay, cool, Nitesh. Good. I end up creating on LinkedIn an event to promote it. Now I noticed that LinkedIn manages events different if you end up broadcasting to LinkedIn, or if you just post it as an external event. So So yeah, there's a bit of a difference. It obviously ends up promoting a lot more events that are part of LinkedIn. Mauricio says that YouTube. Okay, so I imagine that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, so that's great. Yeah, if anyone that's on this live stream is not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I would definitely recommend subscribing to it, so that you don't end up missing out on the things that the content that ends up being produced, so that developers can end up adopting, for example, SAP technologies, right? So we have the live streams. We also have podcasts, which is basically the SAP developer news, and there's also SAP Code Talk. So in case you missed it, yesterday my colleague Ian, he ended up blogging about it. There's a reboot of Code Talk. So we've prepared a number of interviews with different, I don't know, it could be SAP product managers or maybe members from the community. So I know I've, for example, done the recording with 2 SAP community members. They're both in Spanish, by the way, but I'm planning on actually sharing or creating the subtitles in English, so that you can join in as well, although they will be in Spanish. So the Spanish-speaking community, I'm sure that we'll be happy about getting some content for them in their native language. So yeah, that's SAP Code Talk, and yeah, it was recently rebooted, and you'll find the details there in this video. So check it out in case you want to learn about Code Talk. Yeah, and as you can see, also we have videos for here's Nora, for example, explaining what transformer is, all the different buzzwords that there are with AI, and yeah, unfortunately, a transformer, she's not talking about Optimus Prime or anything like that. She's talking about the architecture for this particular deep learning sort of modeling that there is. Yeah, so check it out. It's quite good. But yeah, subscribe here. So Santiago says that in his case, SAP Developer News is notified to me first through LinkedIn, then on YouTube. Curious. Yeah, that is curious. Well, I guess that might end up depending on how often you visit LinkedIn or YouTube. Maybe. Yeah. So maybe you visit a bit more LinkedIn. And that's why you end up noticing that first. But yeah, if you subscribe, it will still be on your feed on YouTube. It does appear there at the top, I think, whenever there's something new. Hi, Kumarabel. Welcome to this live stream. Yeah, so I guess we can get started. Yep, cool. So, as I mentioned before, we're going to talk about the Kyma runtime and how we can end up connecting to an environment using Steampipe. Okay, so for those of you that are not familiar with what the Kyma runtime is, I do recommend checking out SAP Discovery Center. You can see it here listed under services. I only did this search for Kyma runtime, and you can see it here. The details are here. There are some missions that will help you get started with the Kyma runtime. And as part of today's live stream, we're going to actually check this one out. It's a very simple one. It's very basic, but still, it's like for you to see what for example, our mission is. Okay, so the services is this. So the Kyma runtime, for example, it's available in the free tier. In my case, I'm using the trial environment, so it's also available in the trial environment, but it's also part of the free tier, and it's pay as you go. And if you have the Cloud Platform Enterprise Agreement, it's also available there. Hi, Saul Quintero, how you doing? Yes, so check out Kyma runtime if you're not familiar with it. In the end, if you are containerizing your applications, this is a way that you can end up running them in the BTP. And it's not the only way. You can also run your containerized applications in the Cloud Foundry environment. So that is also possible. I believe that there is a Did You Know video talking about it. So yeah, that will be on our SAP developers YouTube channel. So check it out. But yeah, so today, Kyma runtime, that's what we're going to look at. Yeah, check out these missions if you want to get familiar with it. But well, before we start on that, in order under the hood, the Kyma runtime, it's a Kubernetes cluster, right? It's that simple. So under the hood, it's a Kubernetes cluster. So if we go to the Kyma project website, for example, you can see that it tells us basically what Kyma is. So obviously, check this out. This is an open source project by SAP, and in the end, it provides you like a layer on top of our Kubernetes in order to manage, for example, your Kubernetes environment. Yeah, we're going to look at it in a bit. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, under the hood, there's Kubernetes, right? So in order to interact with it, we're going to leverage an existing plugin that there is for Steampipe. In this case, it's the Kubernetes plugin. You can find all the details here. Let me share this URL with you guys so that you have it handy. So that's the Kubernetes plugin that we're going to use today. Yeah, pasting it in both LinkedIn and YouTube. So cool. Yeah, and here it tells us what do we need to do. So you've seen me do this before, for example, installing a plugin. We're going to do that today as well. There is some basic configuration that we need to set up. I'll show you that basic config. And then we're going to start querying it. Now, something that I really like about this is the following. So obviously it exposes many tables through which we can interact with our Kubernetes environment. So for example, I don't know, you want to know the namespaces, you just query that table. You want to know the nodes, the pods. All of this information is in reality available via kubectl, so the Kubernetes command line interface. So all of this, you're able to access it through there. Obviously, if you want to create objects and all that, that's what you use, right? So kubectl. But if you just want to query your Kubernetes environment, then something like this, the Steampipe will do. So that's something that you can end up using. Now, you'll notice here in the tables that we are only looking at like standard, out-of-the-box Kubernetes objects. Now, one thing that I like about this plugin is that it also allows us to query what's called custom resources. Okay, so within Kubernetes, there is the concept of custom resources, and for example, Kyma deploys some custom resources when you have Kyma on your Kubernetes environment, right? So, for example, the component of serverless, that it is a custom resource, and we'll be able to see it as a custom resource when we interact with Steampipe. Also API rules or the API gateway, for example, all of that is custom. So we will check it out, and I really like that because in a way it gives us an easy way to interact with these custom resources. So it's very cool. Okay. Yeah, and although we are going to interact with a Kyma environment, like in the end, this plugin, you can end up using it obviously to query any Kubernetes environment, right? And we're going to have a quick look at that as well. So yeah, so that's it. I guess it would be best if we go to the command line and just get started, right? So let's see, let's bring warp again. And here we are, we have nothing here. Let's start by installing this. So you can see here that my plugin list, let's see what I have here. I shouldn't have anything, so blah, blah, blah. Well, I do have a couple of plugins. Let's see. Okay, this is taking, it's the first time that I run it today, so it does take a while. So you see that I have the BTP plugin, obviously. I have two connections, and AWS, RSS, and Steampipe, right? By the way, RSS. So yeah, for those of you that are fans of RSS, and given the recent migration to, given the recent migration to the new community platform, I recently wrote a blog post about it. about how to consume all the different RSS feeds that are available. So check that out. It might be interesting for you guys. So you'll be able to find it in the What's New section, and here exploring RSS feeds of the new community platform. So it depends on the data that you're interested in, but there are many RSS feeds. So if you want to get all the information, if you want to get for a particular section of the new community platform, check it out. All the details are here. So it's a bit of a long post, but in the end it's long because I end up giving a lot of examples. That's the only reason. So yeah, if you're fans of RSS, make sure to check that out. It might be useful. In my case, I use RSS to consume most of what I read on the internet. So yeah, that's basically my how I consume it. So yeah, sorry for that deviation. Let's go back to Steampipe. So let's go and install plugin, install Kubernetes, right? That's what we need. So cool. Now we're installing Kubernetes, and as you can imagine, what this will end up doing is it will end up creating a connection for us, right? So here in my config, now I have that Kubernetes config there. Okay, we are going to, you know what? I'm going to rename that. So Kubernetes. Yeah, I'm just going to rename it to Kyma trial, and then we're going to start working with this Kyma trial Kubernetes, right? So here I'll name it Kyma trial. Kyma, oops, forgot to insert. So Kyma trial. Okay, so these are the connection sort of options that I have. I can specify a config path, or if not, it will end up using my kubeconfig. And also, I can set up a context. So who here knows what a context is in Kubernetes terms? Do let me know on the chat, please. But yeah, in the end, yeah, we can manage multiple Kubernetes environments via the command line interface, right? So yeah, that will allow us to do that mini config there. So, but you know what? I just realized that I forgot to actually go to my trial environment and get my Kyma config. So let's do that first. So I obviously instantiated a Kyma environment in my trial account already, because that does take some time. So I'm not going to waste time doing that, setting up the environment. But once you have it set it up, you can see it here, right? There's kubeconfig URL. You click on that and you will end up downloading your kubeconfig. In this case, I'm just authenticating against my Kubernetes environment. Okay, I need to provide two-factor authentication here. Let me see. I need to, let's go to secret mode, because yeah, you might not want to see that, right? So here, let's see my, yeah, I have it here. Okay, yes, and yeah, that went successful. So come up again. Yeah, so you can see that here, for example, I've connected to my Kyma environment. Okay, I have a module installed which is serverless, so I can deploy a function there. Yeah, that's it. So that's it. Let me download this kubeconfig so that you can see, so that we can interact with it via the command line interface. Okay, so this is taking some time. Yeah, kubeconfig.yaml. Okay, cool. Let's go back to our command line, and in this case, we are going to actually move that. So in downloads, yeah, let's move it to .cube Kyma config. I think that will do. Okay, so .cube Kyma config. Actually, what do I have in my? Yeah, I have two configs. So I have the normal config and Kyma config. Okay, so for example, if I do something like an export kubeconfig, here I'm specifying. Okay, this is the configuration for kubectl, and then I'll be able to interact with the environments or with the clusters that are in both of those configurations. So I'll run that. And then, for example, if I go with kubectl and get all contexts, you'll see that I have 3 contexts, right? I have EIC beta dev. Let me see. Oh, there's some auth info here, so you'll be able to guess what that is. This is actually an edge integration cell environment. So for those of you who are familiar with SAP Integration Suite, you will know that now there's a new component called Edge Integration Cell, which is basically what's going to eventually replace something like an SAP Process Integration, Process Orchestration, and in the end, you will end up the alternative is using Edge Integration Cell, which is something that you can end up deploying. What happens is that your Edge Integration Cell runs on a Kubernetes environment. So in this case, I had a Kubernetes environment there that I was just using. But yeah, so you know what? I'm going to do something. So for example, I want to rename this. I don't like that name. That garden, Kyma, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to rename it to Kyma trial. So I'm going to use that context. That should be fine. So now, for example, what I've done is that I've renamed the context. So if I run this again, get context, you see here now the name is Kyma trial. And this is much easier to configure, for example, in my Kyma trial config. So yeah, so we changed 2 things, right? So the config path is not this. So in this case, it will actually be Kyma config, if I'm not wrong. And in this case, the config context will be Kyma. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So in that case, insert. Yeah, that's it, right? So config path, config context, and if this works, let's see. Nope, I don't want to do this. I actually just want to open it next to it. Okay, so let's see if Steampipe plugin list. So this obviously refreshes the connections. Now we should see the new plugin that's available. Yeah. Let's see here. I got a notification here. What is this notification? I don't know. Yeah. Yes, sorry. So we can see here that we have the Kyma trial. Awesome. So basically we can start querying our Kyma trial. So let's start doing that. So Steampipe query. Now let's see if this actually works. So if I go to .inspect Kyma, there it is, my Kyma trial, right? And you can see now that I have all my Kubernetes resources listed here, right? So you can see Helm chart, blah, 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 all of that, Kubernetes. So if I've deployed a Helm chart, for example, I know that there are some samples in the SAP samples repository that we deploy to Kyma, and they're using Helm charts. So you'll be able to see the Helm chart, for example, if you do that here. Cool. So actually, Edge Integration Cell also uses a Helm chart. We're going to see if I'm able to see that. I haven't tested that, but yeah. So you see here, for example, Kubernetes API Gateway, Kubernetes API Rule. This, my friends, are not tables that are available out of the box, right? You don't see them here, which means that the plugin has checked the custom resources that are deployed in that Kubernetes environment and has made them available to us here. So I'm able to actually query those, which is cool, right? So let's see. Yeah, it tells me, for example, all the different fields that I have in that table. But let's see. So select asterisk from Kyma trial. Nope. Obviously, that's not a relationship, so I need to define that. API rule, executing query. There's nothing. I've not deployed anything to this Kubernetes cluster. It's empty, right? So yeah, there's nothing for me to do there. So let's see. So if I do here kubectl, for example, yeah, I'm using the Kyma trial there. So if I go create namespace, hands-on SAP there, of course, let's do it. This has created a namespace here. So let's see, kubectl get namespaces. This is in my Kyma trial. Let's see. Yeah, there's hands-on SAP Dev. So now if I go back to Steampipe, let's see it here, right? So yeah, so Q, and now I run this. No, I'm going to run namespaces. Namespace, I think it is. There it is, hands-on SAP Dev. Okay, cool. We have a new namespace there. So that's cool. Excellent. So what are we going to do now? Let's try deploying something here. Yeah, let's try deploying a simple function so that we can see it, for example, in Steampipe as well, right? Okay, so for that, as I mentioned before, I'm just going to basically follow this simple mission where we do a hello world function, right? Here it tells me exactly what I need. So yeah, it tells me about the mission. In this case, I already set this up and I've enabled the serverless module. Oh, there's a typo there. That's something that can be fixed. So in the serverless module, yeah. So for example, here, it tells you step by step what you need to do, right? So yeah, it's very simple. So check it out. In this case, it's like, okay, you need to set up the Kyma environment. In this case, enable SAP BTP Kima modules. Here, it tells you how to enable, for example, the serverless module in that environment. I already did that, so this is completed. Nothing for me to worry about. But here, there's how to run the hello world Kyma function. Okay, so for that, I'll just go. There's two ways of doing that. So one way is doing it via the command line interface, but I can also do it via the UI. I'll do it via the UI, so it's maybe simpler, I hope. So I have namespaces here, hands-on SAP Dev, that's my new namespace, and I'm just going to create it here. So in workloads, I have functions here, and I'll just create a simple function, okay? I can choose a preset, my favorite language, Python, that's it. I don't care about the name, so I'm just going to generate one, similar row. You know what, let's do something. Steampipe, FN, something like that. It's okay. Yeah, hello world from the Kyma function. Live. Hands. Dev. Yeah, okay, let's create this. So this will end up creating the function itself, right? So it's building. This will take some time, obviously. But yeah, eventually, like it will end up being created. Once it's created, for example, then we can end up creating an API rule. Okay. Now let me see. And this is again something else that I have not explored. But let's see how this goes. So in my .inspect, so Kubernetes, is there something like functions here? Oh, function. Awesome. So you see there is a namespace. Okay, let's do that then. So select namespace from Kubernetes function. Awesome. There is my function there. Excellent. Yeah, I've not tested that before, so but cool. So you know what? I want to know something else. Tell me if you've checked out the Kyma environment. Yeah, the Kyma runtime, sorry. And tell me what you think about it. Have you played around it in the trial environment? Are you using it in production? How are you using it? How are you finding it? Yeah, let me know. But cool. So this is, yeah, I've managed to get a function there. So you see, this is actually querying a custom resource, okay? So that is very cool. So and I think we can see all custom resources here via the custom resource definition table. That was in the documentation when we saw that before. And you can see here that it will give us a bunch of stuff, right? So if we want to, and you'll notice that there are certain things here that have this kymaproject.io suffix, right? And those are basically some of the custom resources that are deployed by Kyma. So in that case, serverless. There should be something else for functions as well, because that is a custom resource. Yeah. So cool, huh? So in essence, basically, you can use this also to see your custom resource definitions, okay, in your environment. Okay, so that's good. So we were able to deploy a simple function. Let's expose it now via, yeah, it's running. Should be good. Now let's create an API rule for it. So this is just to expose the function to the world. Okay, so service name, you see there's the service name. It created a service for me, so port 80, that's it. In which namespace do I want this? Okay, I want to enhance on SAP Dev, right? And then let's name this. So let's just name Steampipe function API rule. I don't know, that will do, I would say. Yeah, consider hosts. I need to specify a host. Let's see what this tells me. I don't remember. There was some form of help here. Okay. Yeah. Why is not showing me my help? Yep. Okay. Let's do access strategies. Get. Yeah, that should be it. I think this is my my .c something. I don't remember the. I think it's part of this. Let me copy this. I've seen this before, but previously it was sort of completing this information for me. I don't know why it's not doing it anymore. Maybe. Let me test one thing. Kyma system, Kyma gateway. There it is. Okay. So yeah. Okay. I need. I think that this is because this is deployed under the Kyma system namespace. So I'll leave it to that. So the name here, basically just name it Steampipe function. That's it. Okay, create this. Yeah, so it's creating my function and my API rule, and you can see there's an API rule here. Awesome, you see? So now it's basically exposed to the world there. So if you want to get that, you can do it. Cool. Okay, that's fine. Let's close this. So now if we go back to obviously Steampipe, then here let's do select. Let's inspect first. Inspect Kubernetes API rule. Yeah. Okay. So we have all these fields. I guess I'm only interested in the host, the name, the host, and namespace. Let's get that. Select name, host, and namespace from Kubernetes API rule. And there you go. It's actually grabbing my custom URL, right? Very cool. The resource that I created based on this custom resource in Kubernetes, right? In Kyma, through Kyma. So in this case, like you can do, let's just grab like a standard object, right? So for example, pods. So in this case, it would just be pod. Where's pod? There you go, pod. Cool. Those are all the pods that are available. You can see that there is a pod for my function here as well, right? Actually, yeah. Also, like if I want to see the nodes in my cluster, there you go. One node. Okay. Okay. So that's it. That's my Kyma environment. Basically, we configure our connection to the Kyma runtime, and I think it will be useful if we end up configuring another connection, so that we can see, for example, how to configure another connection. Yeah. Okay. So back to my connection here. In here, I have for the Kyma trial. So I'll just exit this, and I'll make a copy of this. So Kyma trial. And I'm going to name it EIC SPC. So this is for my Edge Integration Cell Kubernetes cluster. okay, which doesn't have Kyma running on it. It's just pure Kubernetes, okay? So let's modify that. Okay, so in this case, my connection name needs to be different, obviously. EAC, oops. EAC. And you notice how here, for example, it tells me that there's a duplicate connection name. Cool. So the Steampipe plugin is actually sort of checking for any file changes within this config, right? Interesting. So config path is different, obviously. So it's just Kyma config. And the config context is different as well. It's no longer Kyma trial. It's actually, I see, beta dev, I think it is. If I'm not wrong. So let's save that. So here, let's quit this. I just want to make sure that that is my context, configured context. Yeah, EAC beta dev. So that's what we're going to use. Cool. EAC beta dev. Exit this. No, let's do it then. Yeah, and here we're just going to basically Steampipe query again. In this case, I should already have the EAC connection there. Yeah, you see, and it knows it's a Kubernetes plugin, and all the different objects that are available for it. Okay, now, this is interesting. So, in this case, okay, let's check out the custom resource definition. I know that there is a particular custom resource definition, and I'm not seeing a table for it. Oh, no, it's already there. So it already scanned it. So you see here, for example, Kubernetes SAP Cloud Connector. So in an Edge integration cell cluster, Cloud Connector is actually deployed as a custom resource, right? So yeah, interesting. So in that case, like we can easily do like something like asterisk from, and I apologize for doing select asterisk, but yeah. In this case, we're going to do EIC dot Kubernetes SAP Cloud Connector, and then it will tell me about that SAP Cloud Connector instance that's deployed there, right? You see there? Cool, right? Yep. Let's see. Scroll up a bit. So creation time, Edge, LM. Yeah, it has all the details there. Cool. So that's it. We have a Cloud Connector there. We can see it there from our custom resources. Obviously, these custom resources, this, for example, applies to my Edge integration cell. So if I run, for example, the same table for Kyma trial, I will get an error. That doesn't exist there, right? So this, obviously, that relationship doesn't exist. That table does not exist. That's not a custom resource in the Kyma trial. So in this case, when dealing with multiple Kubernetes environments, we obviously need to sort of specify the schema, because there are some custom resources that are only specific to this schema. Okay. Cool. That's it. Okay. So let's see. So for example, in that case, I was running. Let's see from EIC dot Kubernetes nodes. Yeah. You can see AKS agent pool. So who can tell me what that AKS means? Let me know in the chat if you guys know what AKS means. That can give you a hint on where this is running. Where is this Kubernetes cluster running? AKS, what does that mean? Cool. So yeah, so you see how, well, we basically configured two connections, right? And in this case, one for the Kyma trial and one for another Kubernetes environment. We could easily go ahead and basically do the same for another Kyma environment. Okay, so in this case, let's see, we're going to copy that to, I have another access to another Kyma environment. So I'm just going to name it pre-sales Kyma. Yeah, so pre-sales. Yeah, you see that warning again of the connection is duplicate. So let's insert pre-sales Kyma. This is not a trial environment. This is a production ready Kubernetes cluster. So yeah, in this case, my config is actually in this, and it's actually called pre-sales something. Let's check it out. So here, I don't remember the name of my context. Apologies. So get context. Pre-sales _ Kyma. Yeah. So that's it. So I'm just going to set it to that. Kyma. Save that. And now let's go back to. Oops, no, not that. Let's go back to my Steampipe. Let's refresh my plugins, and we will see that new connection there, right? We will see. Yeah, you see now we have 8 connections. So for the Kubernetes plugin, we have 3 connections. Edge integration cell, the Kyma trial environment, and that pre-sales schema that I have access to. Okay, so yeah. Maybe we might be able to see something here. I haven't authenticated against that pre-sales schema today. So the plugin, the Steampipe plugin for Kubernetes, the Kubernetes plugin for Steampipe, sorry, something like that, supports an authentication method called OIDC, which stands for OpenID Connect. Okay, so we might see it right now. Let's see. Steampipe query. And I'm just going to do a select asterisk from pre-sales. Ooh, I don't see that pre-sales schema yet. Why is it that I don't see it? Let's do inspect. There it is. Yeah, the connection. It says that it's in an erroneous state. Why is it an error there? No, wait. Oh, no. State error. Yeah, no. It says state ready, and there's no error. Okay, let's try it. So select asterisk from pre-sales. I don't know why it's not showing me there that autocomplete that we're used to. Kubernetes node, right? We remember Kubernetes node from before. Yeah, this Kubernetes cluster actually has 3 nodes. Cool. Okay, so yeah, we know that the connection is there, but I want to see the autocomplete. I don't like it not having the autocomplete. So Steampipe query again. Let's see. Dot inspect. No, it's not there. I don't understand why is it not coming for me here. Yeah. What else do I need to do? Maybe I need to refresh this again. So Steampipe plugin. This. Anyone has an idea of why this is not working, or at least it's not doing the autocomplete? Okay. I refreshed the plugins. Let's try again. Steampipe query. So that inspect. Pre-sales schema. Okay. Yeah, it's not telling me anything. Right? It doesn't want to. Okay, now there it is. Cool. So here we will obviously see custom resources again. API rule, API gateway, something that we were seeing before, right? With the Kyma trial. Now in this case, we might even have different custom resources. This is an old Kyma runtime. Well, it was instantiated a while ago. That's what I'm trying to say. And we might have, yeah, you see, for example, that alert custom resource that we were seeing before. It doesn't exist in the, or at least it hasn't been enabled in the new Kyma trial. Maybe it's a module. I don't know. Yeah, could be. Okay, so let's go back to my pre-sales schema. And in this case, I want to actually see functions that are there. Asterisk, namespace, I think it was, from pre-sales Kyma, and then Kubernetes function. Awesome. You see, we have 3 functions here. So we have different functions. So why is this important? In the end, for example, if you have if you're running Kubernetes on your landscapes, it is likely that you have a dev environment and a production environment. There are many ways of having multiple environments within a Kubernetes cluster. Some people like using different namespaces, but I don't know. Ideally, it will be different clusters themselves, right? So yeah. So in that case, it's like you can easily combine the data from two Kyma environments to check out what has been deployed in one version and what's running on another cluster, right? So yeah, so this is what's cool. And in the end, like you can end up joining all this. I don't know, in this case, we have 3 Kubernetes clusters. We can easily do a union of, for example, of all the different nodes that are available in the different Kubernetes clusters, right? Or another thing, in this case, I'm only interacting with Kubernetes clusters that are managed environments. So 2 Kyma runtimes, and one is no one mentioned what AKA stands for. So AKS is the Azure Kubernetes service. So that, for example, is running in Azure itself. So yeah. So in this case, we can see, for example, the different nodes for whatever they are running. If I will be running something locally, right? Like for example, a K3D or a Minikube, like I'll be able to get that information through here as well. So yeah, I'm able to basically connect to any Kubernetes environment and interact with it via the Steampipe plugin, which is very cool, I think. So yeah, that's it. With this, yeah, in this case, for example, we can see the again API rules. You see, there's an API rule there. Oh, of course, yeah. It's not API rule itself. It's Kubernetes API rule. Ooh, it doesn't exist. It says. Oh, yes, of course. Kubernetes API rule. I added an additional. Yeah, you see, I have many API rules. I want to see the services that are here. Let's see. Services. Service. Oh, many services running here, right? In all the different namespaces. You can see there's a lot of stuff there. Yeah. Yeah, cool, huh? And yeah, again, same as before. You want to switch environments instead of... this is another thing that I like very much. Like, you just specify a different schema and you're connected to a different environment. There's no need to change context, for example, like when using kubectl. So that ends up simplifying things a bit. At least that's what I've found so far. I really like that bit that you just specify a different schema and then you're interacting with a different Kubernetes environment. Yeah, cool. So this is it. Yeah, so basically, I think I forgot to go back to the tutorial here. Ooh, it's expired. Let's see the tutorial in Discovery Center. I just want to make sure that I completed everything. Yeah, so in this case, workload functions, this is what we end up doing. They use JavaScript, I use Python, same stuff, doesn't really matter. This was running, then I created the API role. Yeah, hello host, namespace name, yeah. You see, Kyma system and Kyma gateway. That's true. I end up setting up a host there. Yeah, hello rule. And then, yeah. In here, okay, cool. There are instructions on how to deploy a microservice on Kyma. Okay. In this case, you end up deploying an image that's available in Google Container Registry. And this, it tells you basically how to create that deployment. Follow the instructions. And then you'll have a deployment and then you'll have it as a service and all that sort of stuff. But you know, something I did mention deployments before, I think. So in this case, I don't know if there is any deployment in so in where is it? Yes, here. So in Edge Integration Cell, I know that there are deployments. You can see many deployments here. You see SAP SCC connector. So when we're deploying Edge Integration Cell, like there are many deployments, and this is what you see here, right? In the Kyma trial, I don't know if a function goes as a deployment, but we might be able to see it here. Actually, yeah, there's quite a few things. Okay, when it was deployed, the serverless component there. What else? Do you see anything that says Steampipe here? Nope, I don't see anything yet. Steampipe, yeah, you see? So that's also a deployment. Okay, interesting. That's very cool. Yeah, so that's for deployments. There's also, for example, another common Kubernetes Kubernetes object that we interact with is jobs, for example, Kubernetes job. I think this is automatically connecting to where? I don't know. How can I find that? Oh, okay, let's check our notes. We saw notes before. So if we just, okay, so it's actually communicating with the Edge integration cell by default. Okay, so if I do a job with another one, let's try Kyma trial. Let's see if there are any jobs there. I haven't configured any there. Oh no, there is one. Okay, there was a build. Okay, interesting. We get that information here as well. So yeah, we have a Kubernetes job there. So you can see how we're basically interacting with the different Kubernetes objects that are available. You can also obviously do this via kubectl, but an alternative would be like just using the Steampipe plugin. So cool. That's it. So if you're interested in checking this out further, like obviously go to the, well, you can easily do by yourself, for example, this deploying a microservice, right? To Kyma, so that you can get familiar with Kyma. It will tell you how to create a service as well, which in the end is just basically another YAML that you end up deploying and exposing this as the different ports that are available in this container. Yeah, check out the documentation for Kubernetes plugins, tables. This is basically what you're able to the native objects that a Kubernetes cluster has and that you're able to interact with. So check that out as well. And that's pretty much it. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover regarding how to set up your connection to different Kubernetes clusters. So yeah, I hope this is useful for you and that you end up, yeah, I don't know, maybe using the Steampipe plugin to interact with different services that are available out there. So thank you very much for joining. Bye.